Hello YouTube, and I am back to give you my thoughts on the recent episode of Killing Eve, the series finale. So spoilers, if you have not seen, and there's going to be some big spoilers in here. So my overall feelings of not just of the series finale, but on the show in this past couple seasons, I've been severely disappointed. So basically in this episode, and all I cared about really was, okay, so Eve and Villanelle, what are they going to do? What's going to happen? And I already had my expectations low because, in my opinion, season 3 and season 4 are the worst of Killing Eve. I feel like neither showrunner could pick up where Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the amazing Phoebe Waller-Bridge, left off. To me, Emerald Fennell was the better runner-up, even though she did retread some stuff that Phoebe did in the first season. I felt like she was the better runner-up. And I feel like if someone stronger could have followed her lead and then someone after her, it would have been a better series. You only got 8 episodes, you got 4 seasons. How do you screw this up? Well, it is possible, with them once again, every single season, it's a cat and mouse game. Even Villanelle do not interact much. When they do, it's great because the Jodie Comer and the Sandra Oh are just amazing together. They have great chemistry. And when they're rooming together, everything else falls away, and it's just them and their chemistry. And their chemistry really saved the show and really saved this series finale, in which, spoiler alert, Villanelle dies at the very last few, literally minutes and seconds of the show, getting shot in the shoulder and shot multiple times in the water. Because Villanelle tries to save Eve, they're on a big bridge, so she throws Eve over to save her, throws herself over, but she still gets shot, and she's dead, and they recreate a famous painting, and the rest is set in history. Now, I always had a feeling that Killing Eve was going to end in tragedy because it's the theme of the show. It's kind of how the series was presenting itself. But I just feel like in these last few seasons, none of these writers knew how to really mix the interesting plotting with kind of the kookier stuff that was going on, the funnier stuff. And no one does that better with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. If you watch Fleabag, you will see what I'm saying. She knows how to do that perfectly. That's what she excels at. And I feel like no writer has built up to that. And these plots have been nonsensical. The big bad, the 12, has been faceless, easily beat by Villanelle. It's just been, okay, let's just try to refresh the show and see what we can do with Ian Villanelle this time. It doesn't even feel like they want to continue the narrative that was set up the previous season. It's like each new showrunner, which was started by Phoebe, she wanted each female showrunner to have their take on the show. And I feel like that did not work for the show overall because each showrunner wanted to refresh the show to see what they can do with it. And it treats, Ian Villanelle like they have kind of like different personalities each season and doesn't really follow through very well. You can only trust the acting of Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer. But anyway, it's been a big hoopla online, of course. And, unfortunately, you would think, it's like, okay, we're all disappointed. People have their furious takes, as they should, on how disappointed they are in this show, because this show was once Emmy nominated at one point, and critically acclaimed, and it has decreased very fast after the second season. No surprise there. So you would think the people behind the show would be, mature and not antagonizing. Well, they were the exact opposite. You have some of these writers who are working on these last few seasons, specifically this last season, posting on Instagram, antagonizing fans, saying like, oh, take a shot whenever a fan is angry, and they keep antagonizing fans. It's just really heartless and really ruthless. And they're claiming that this is their stepping stone, so it's their first job. And I'm like, how unprofessional do you have to be to do that? And considering you're working on a show that used to be somewhat of prestige TV, you would think they would, have them be trained professionals, but apparently not. So that's the type of people that we're dealing with when it comes to this show, unfortunately. And right now it is Tuesday. It is two days after the series finale, and Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer has not said anything when it comes to Killing Eve. No interviews have come out after any episode, especially the series finale. No post on Instagram or Twitter, nothing publicly, saying goodbye to the show or goodbye to the fans or goodbye to the characters. And that's really telling. That's really saying something. It reminds me of the end of Game of Thrones, where it's like with D&D, when all said and done, there was no big celebration. There was no big hoopla. It was just pure silence, and they lost all their deals. The Star Wars movies, their, HBO TV show, they lost it all, and it seemed like the same, hopefully, is going to happen to these people. Lauren Neal was the showrunner of season 4, and it has not been good. Season 3 before wasn't good neither, but it ended better, but still it wasn't wholly good. If they had lived in the series finale, I still would have the same feeling that I had about season 3, but way worse. And it sucks because I loved this show, and I thought the show was above this, and Phoebe did something wonderful here, and I trusted in her, and I just once again feel like no other showrunner could be at her level when it comes to tackling the writing and the storytelling that she successfully told in the first season of the show. So disappointment all around. It sucks because you think that the show would be consistently like a critical darling, but unfortunately it's not. So what are your feelings and frustrations about the Killing Eve series finale, the overall show? What are your opinions of each season? And bye, YouTube.